Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and with me today we have another very special guest here. Now, I've relegated on the show before that the name of the show is called First Class, Second Place, and we really take pride in bringing our first class people here, and our guest here is no different. We have none other than the owner of Ink Gallery, We got none other than Tiffany Tattooz. How you doing, Tiffany?
I'm doing good.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here as well. And before we continue, I just want to remind everybody that we are in Garfield, New Jersey at Bravery Studio. Shout out to Steve behind the glass. Thank you for everything that you do here, Steve. Much appreciated. So let's get it started. So here we go with the first question. So where does the story of Tiffany begin? Like, where were you born and raised?
Okay, I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey.
P-Town?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's it. Yeah. No, there was a point in time where I did move to Miami, but that was like for a year, and then I came back, but I always...
What part of Miami?
Coral Gables.
Okay.
And I worked in Kendall.
I actually went to high school in Kendall, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah.
Now, sticking in with Paterson, though, for the time being, what was your personal experience like growing up in Paterson, New Jersey?
Wow. Okay. Well, have you been there?
Yeah. I mean, my father used to own a bar in downtown Paterson.
Oh, really?
I'm very familiar with Madison and 21st. I'm not from Paterson, but I spent a lot of, let's say that I spent a lot of time in that area, especially with me being half Colombian.
Oh, okay. All right. So as far as Paterson goes, anyone who lives there kind of knows what it's all about: drugs, gangs, poverty. So that's something I experienced a little bit. The last place that I lived at, though, in Paterson was, I don't know if you've been here, but Straight Street.
I know what Straight Street is, yes. Mm-hmm.
I was up there.
Yeah, we got sound effects here.
Yeah. So it was kind of rough. It's funny. I always think back to this time where when cell phones used to have like the top 5 on your phone, so you'll press 1 for mom, 2 for dad.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So number 1 was 911, just in case something happened.
Shit.
And I remember having to use it a couple of times. So that's kind of just how it was. But when you're in that environment, you don't really see it as bad because this is how you grew up. This is how things were.
It's just the norm for you.
It's the norm. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people get stuck there and they stay. But I think that after kind of like working and going to school, I saw that there was an opportunity to live better. So being there as a teenager, I probably left around maybe like 17 years old. I just remember saying to myself, like, I got to get out of here and do better. So.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like usually in those environments, you usually have an out. Like sometimes there'll be people that are into music. Sometimes there are people into sports. Maybe they're great football players or basketball, whatever. I feel like usually everybody has some kind of niche.
Yes.
It sounded like for you, it started very early on. I'm picturing a 2-year-old Tiffany Tattooz, basically like a little toddler Bob Ross with like the curls and an easel, just drawing. And so you found art at a very, very young age.
Yes.
And that was your thing right there.
Yeah, I started drawing at 2 years old, so this was a part of my life. But then I also really got into dance. So that was even bigger than the art at some point. And then after towards the end of college, that's when like art and tattoos started to come about.
Right. And you went to Montclair State University.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And when you went to Montclair, what was your major?
I was majoring in art education to be an art teacher.
And then you realized that, nah, son, this ain't for me.
I hated it. I hated it. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, at first I went in as undeclared because I wasn't really sure. I mean, you're 18 going into college. Like, do you really know what you want to do?
Yeah.
But I always knew that art was a part of my life. So I figured like, okay, I'll just do art education, teach other people, students about art. But then I got into it and I was like, oh, this is not it. I'm so unhappy. And then tattoos came about when I was in college. And then that's when everything kind of like shifted the other way.
Now, I know that for your 21st birthday, I believe that your father got you a tattoo machine.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Now, is your father tattooed up? Like, does he have art on his body as well?
Yeah, he did. And then I tattooed more on him. So I tattooed like a sleeve on him and did some cover-ups and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a nice little bonding moment.
I love that.
Yeah, father-daughter thing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah. And that's really interesting because it's not excuse me, it's just not the norm. You don't often very hear a father or even a mother getting their child something like that. But you know what? It sounds like your father knew at a very early time, I should say, what you were passionate about, and he saw something in you, and he basically just had an idea, and he just figured, I'll just give it to you. If it works out, great. If not, then hey, you're still an artist at heart.
Yeah. So he always he was a graffiti artist, and even growing up, he would show me like in a coloring book, right? I'm not just gonna use the color red to color in an apple. I'm gonna have to use 3 different types of red. You got the dark, medium, and the light.
Yeah.
So he was showing me that even as a young kid, and then later on, he was like kind of introducing or showing me like, okay, maybe try getting into airbrushing, anything in a way where I can make money. So I started airbrushing and doing airbrush shirts in high school and then in college. And then one day we had a conversation. He was like, would you ever consider doing tattoos? And I'm like, not really. I never even had tattoos. I didn't know what that was about. I never went into a tattoo shop. I just knew my dad had tattoos.
Right.
And then he was like, hey, this is a tattoo machine for your birthday. Just make sure that you promise me you'll make use of it. And I did. And I just stuck with that after.
Yeah, and now look where it's got TV now.
I know. I would have never thought. I wasn't even that type of girl. I was such a quiet, innocent, shy girl. Like you could never see me in a tattoo shop. And I didn't have no tattoos, so I didn't know what I was like getting myself into.
And how many tattoos do you have now?
Oh, I don't know, maybe like 6. It wasn't even not even a lot for tattoo artists, right? But
right. No, well, the only reason that I asked is because mainly the real question that I want to ask you is, which one is your most meaningful tattoo?
That's a good one. I feel like they all kind of have a meaning to it, but I think I would say the one on my side, which is like over 20 something hours of work.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
all in one shot. No, I don't think so.
No,
right?
No. And I got it done in Puerto Rico, so I had to take four. Yeah, it was like 4 sessions, 4 trips out there to get it done.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so obviously we can't see it right now, but can you describe it for us? Why it's what it is and why it's so meaningful for you?
Yes. So the tattoo is actually like a memorial tattoo in dedication to my aunt. So I had mentioned that I lived in Miami for a little bit, and I was living with my aunt out there. But unfortunately, she was
not
killed.
Carmen, was it?
Carmen?
Not Carmen?
No, Ruthie.
Oh, Ruthie. Okay.
Yeah.
Carmen was your abuela?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
I told you I do my research.
Okay, that's amazing.
You got the X-Files drop back there, Steve? Or the Law and Order? There we go. Anyways, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. So yeah, her name was Ruthie. That was my aunt. I lived out there in Miami with her, and she was killed by her boyfriend. Domestic violence. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was a pretty traumatic time in my life. So I wanted to get a tattoo for her, and so it started off as that. And then eventually just keep adding on, right? Like it's like every time you get a tattoo, you got to get another. So it ended up being a pretty big piece from like my side hip all the way up to the top. So it's a whole side piece done. Yeah.
Well, my condolences about what happened to your aunt and stuff. It's a terrible story, but it's nice to know that you held her up in some kind of memory in some way, shape, or form with your own art.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I don't have any tattoos myself, at least not yet. I do want to get tattoos. I'll even tell you right now, I actually have dreams of getting a sleeve. It's just that for me, it's not so much that I never wanted to get tattoos. It's just I know that they're forever. I don't have any children myself, but even I would say that I wouldn't even get my kids' names on me. That's just a personal preference, I just don't believe in, getting people's names or faces, whatever. That's just me. People can do that if they want to. That's their own prerogative. It's just not me. But I'm still trying to figure out what I would like to get and how much it's going to cost and this, that, and the third.
That's the hardest part, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have I'm not into that world per se of tattoos. I just love art. I just whatever looks good is fine. But I do want to ask you, why is it that black and gray realism is your favorite style?
Black and gray realism is my favorite style because prior to tattooing as just a regular artist, that's all I used to do is draw with a pencil on paper. So it's all black and gray and realism. So when I do that as a tattoo, this is what feels most comfortable for me. But I have done all different styles, but I always feel like my favorite is the black and gray realism. I'm really into like details and looking at texture, and I love to draw faces. So when I do these things on people, it's like so easy for me to do. And I like get into it more than anything else.
Now, with that being said, like I know barbers, I know estheticians, I know waxers, I know people that do like hair, nails, and stuff like that. You know, they do something, you know, and it seems like when they're sitting, when they have clients and they're sitting in a chair or whatever, and they're doing whatever needs to be done, not only is it like, you know, they're getting, you know, work done on them, like self-care, but in most cases not, it feels like it's kind of like a therapy session. I mean, I know somebody that's a waxer, and while they're waxing somebody, you're having a deep conversation, and it's almost like a therapy session at the same time. So do you ever have those moments as a tattoo artist where, you know, you're doing your work and everything, but it gets really deep and personal with a client sometimes?
All the time. I call it like ink therapy. And I even have clients that are like, hey, Tiff, I need an appointment. I need some ink therapy. And it'll turn into a whole, literally a therapy session where I have clients crying in my chair, just like pouring their hearts out. And it could be a complete stranger too. And it's just doing this for so many years. It's kind of like you learn to be transparent with your clients because you're sitting with someone for so many hours. It's like there's a lot to talk about, right? So
you got a lot of time to kill.
Yeah, and you learn.
It's not so much you just watching Netflix while you're doing your work.
No, I'm literally talking to them and, you know, sharing my story, and then they share their story. So I feel like I've heard a lot of different things that people have gone through. So it's therapy in so many ways.
And can it be therapeutic for you as well?
100%, yeah. Some of my like darkest and horrible times, I had to work, you know, and then it ends up they just could ask one question. It's just like, then I'm able to talk about it, and then it becomes a discussion. So me talking about it feels good because it's like I don't have to bottle that up inside. I can talk to someone about it too.
Right. And I love that because I actually am a very big proponent of therapy. I'm a mental health advocate myself. I've spoken so many times on the show how I've dealt with my own, you know, bouts with depression and anxiety. I actually admitted not too long ago on one of my most recent episodes that I'm actually medicated. I just became medicated very recently. And excuse me, it was tough for me to accept in the beginning because it like I understand that I'm doing something. I'm not ashamed to be medicated. I'm not ashamed to doing something that's going to benefit me. Excuse me, I can't even fucking talk today. But for me, it was tough to really grasp in the beginning because I can't believe that, you know, I would have to either take some kind of medication or I would have to possibly smoke a joint or something. I don't smoke anymore, unfortunately. I mean, I wish I could, but I don't. But it just, the point that I'm getting at here is that it really sucked for me to know that, you know, just me being free and clear and sober with absolutely nothing in my body is not what's going to benefit me and everybody else. And I had to basically do something. I had to supplement myself in order for me to feel like I'm actually a part of the rest of the world.
Well, why do you feel like you got to that point? Like, what caused that to happen?
A lot of trauma. You know, I mentioned before, and I think I alluded to you earlier, that a lot of times in my life, I often felt like the black sheep of the family, especially with my own family. It caused a lot of insecurities. And I feel like for a number of years, decades even, where I just let it consume me too much to the point where I just feel like this is just who I am. And it's also like maybe it's even from the beginning. I mean, like maybe the reason I felt like I was a black sheep of the family for such a long time is because nobody understood how my brain works and this, that, and the fourth. Or I would always get judged or bullied because of the way that I acted or the way I would talk or this, that, and the third. And now it's funny how we live in a much progressive world now where we could actually, instead of, you know, chastising somebody for being a little awkward or, you know, whatever the case may be, people have become around and are being more understanding. But I'm glad that we kind of live in that world now where we made a lot of progression. But, you know, when you deal with past trauma, it's sometimes hard to just let it go. Like, it doesn't just happen at the snap of a finger.
Do you feel like people can be healed?
Absolutely. I do definitely think that people can be healed, but at the same time, I also think that there's a lot of people out there that feel like that they're healing themselves, but it's at the expense of other people. Like they're actually It's actually really weird how they feel like they've been torn down by life and everything that came their way, and then afterwards they heal themselves and they bring themselves back up, but it comes at the expense of other people. Like whatever was done to them, they're doing it vicariously through others in order to heal themselves, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then sometimes you might think that you're healed, but then something might trigger it, and then you realize, well, maybe I'm not really healed.
Right.
So it's just a thought I was thinking.
No, and that's a great thought to bring. That's a good thought to bring up, because I've often thought of that as well. Because I do feel out there that there's people that, especially in this day and age with social media and everything, that they preach it all the time. Yeah. But I also think it's very counterproductive when you're focusing all of it based on social media instead of actually doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that feeling?
Yeah. Social media is crazy.
I know. But it's you know what it is? Social media has become a necessary evil. You know, we hate it, we judge it, we do this and that, but you know what? We can't stay off of it. We become a world now where as soon as we wake up, we actually check our Instagram before we brush our teeth.
Yeah. Or before bed. That's me. Hate it. I always say, I wish there was no social media. I'll get more stuff done.
Right, yeah.
I just can't stand, like, everything's just not reality on there all the time.
Right. You know what's
it's so addicting.
You know what's so crazy too is that I go through my moments where I delete social media for like a week. Like I don't delete the whole thing. I just delete the app. Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I'll take off Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Threads and all of this, and Snapchat, where you can find me at @JasonEnrique_. Don't forget to like, subscribe, people. But there's been moments where I just delete it, and I told myself that I'm not going to go on it for a week. And then afterwards, I'm like washing dishes, or I'm making food, or I'm cleaning my bathroom, whatever. And then 10 minutes later, I'm going on my phone, and then my thumb subconsciously tries to go to Instagram, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's right, I forgot. See, our brain now is to the point where we don't even think about it. It just comes second nature to us. Like as soon as our mind is not stimulated with anything else that's going on in the world, it just becomes second nature to us. Like, let me just go on Instagram. We do it while we're fucking driving at the same time.
Yeah,
that's another thing that bothers me, and I wish that people would stop doing this. Like whenever there's inclement weather, when it's raining or snowing, whatever, you have to show us through your windshield and while you're driving about how bad the weather is. Do that shit before and after you drive.
Wait, hold on. I did that before.
Tisk,
I try not to, but I did do it.
Damn, son.
Oh my God. Don't worry, no judgment here. I just wish that people would be a little bit smarter. But anyway, yeah, exactly. Message. So, besides being your own businesswoman and getting into the arts and everything, and I know that this is something that you've talked about ad nauseum because it is a big part of your story. And this is actually surprising to me, and this is also another one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show. Basically, of the awareness of always taking care of yourself, because you never know what's going on with you. And I know that a very big highlighted part of your life throughout social media and the world and the stratosphere of entertainment has been centered around the fact that at age 33, you unfortunately suffered from a stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to spend too much time on that because I know that you spoke about it ad nauseum, and I don't know how triggering it could be for you, but I guess I want to know, when you were going, because the thing is that we spoke earlier about how my father unfortunately passed away from a heart attack unexpectedly at 66. And one of my biggest fears ever since that day is making sure that I take care of my body the best way I can. I try to eat better. I try to get more sleep. I try to exercise. I try to be more mindful of what I put in my body and everything. But the crazy thing is that sometimes you could be the healthiest person in the world and you never know what's going on internally. I know a friend of mine that told me that they knew somebody that was like a workoutaholic, like they were, diesel and always lifting weights and doing cardio, and they were in great shape, but they ended up getting a quadruple bypass surgery. And my father, when he unfortunately passed away, one of the shocking things about it was he didn't look ill. Prior to that, he didn't look ill. He was 66, but he looked really good for his age. He was in great shape. He was a drinker. He quit smoking 12 years prior to his death. He looked like a perfect picture of health. And he always used to tell me, because of my lifestyle that I lived, that, at this point, I feel like I'm going to outlive you, Jason. And so that didn't happen, obviously. But one of the things that I do worry about is what if it could be, translated in another way. Like, he died at 66. What if I'm lucky to reach that age, Hopefully I do, God willing.
Yeah.
So I'm just more mindful. So one of the fascinating thing about you is that when you had your stroke, there wasn't anything genetics. You didn't have a family history of anything like that. It was just through birth control.
Yeah. And you mentioned healthy and all that stuff, people being healthy. I was going to the gym. I was eating well. I rarely drank. I don't smoke. So, and then that happened. So it was a little confusing. But I do want to add something that I think is important when someone goes through something like this, and that's also stress. Stress is a killer.
Yeah, I honestly believe that's like, there was a couple of factors that I think what happened to my father, but I think the biggest thing, though, was stress.
Yeah.
Because my father, even though he looked like he was a picture of health, he was a very stressed individual, very stressful individual. And I
did
feel
he have a lot of trauma in his life too?
You know what? That's a great point to bring up, because yes, I believe he did. The problem was, I don't know what the trauma was, because he was never open to talking about it. And I told so many people that, he's somebody that definitely would have benefited from therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he came from that old school mentality where like, oh, I don't want to go. Oh, I don't need to go to therapy. I don't need to see a doctor. If I look good, I feel good, then I am good. But you never know what's going on.
Yeah, internally is a big deal.
Yeah,
especially.
And like I said, he was a perfect picture of health. But the reason he died was because he had 100% blockage in his artery.
That's crazy. Yeah, but for me, I do feel like stress and unhealed things were a part of that too. But being on birth control for all those years. That was like the main cause of it. And I feel like there were little things, little signs, like your body kind of speaks to you. Like I felt like something was off. So I did go to the doctors prior to all of that. But they told me I could remain on birth control, and I did. And not too long after that, ended up having an unexpected stroke.
Yeah.
So, and that was, the craziest, scariest thing I've ever gone through. Because I really thought I was gonna die in that moment.
Yeah, but in a positive way that we could spin it is, at least, even though it sucks that happened, it's kind of also in a good way good that it happened. Well, no, let me rephrase that your mother was there when it happened. Like, at least you were there with somebody that cared for you, was part of family or whatever, as opposed to just being alone. And
it's crazy because that day I wasn't feeling the greatest. I was really, really tired. I couldn't figure out why. I was just so tired. And I was speaking to my mother on the phone. She's like, just come. And my mother lives a little farther. So I was like, I don't know. I was in my car ready to go back home. I did not want to leave. But then I decided, I was like, let me just go out there. And I did. And thank God, because when the stroke was happening, I did become paralyzed. So I could, and I lived alone, in my place. So it's like, what would have happened if I became paralyzed and couldn't like get my phone, or maybe I like fell down the stairs and hurt myself? Who knows what happened?
Could have broken your neck or something. God forbid,
anything. Yeah. And I've heard crazy stories about that, where people are home alone and they have a stroke and they can't move, and they're just there for hours until their partner or somebody comes home to like save them, So I'm just so glad that in that moment I did go to my mother's house.
Yeah, it's funny how your body or even the universe talks to you in so many ways.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah, are you a believer in that kind of stuff?
I do. Yeah. Energy, like what you feel, the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been a lot more open to it this day and age.
Yeah,
and it's definitely benefited me in so many ways that I can't even tell you right now. But it's definitely a thing.
Same.
Yeah. Now, I know. The thing that I also find fascinating about you is hold on a second. Sorry, I'm just getting all these messages.
It's okay.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing that I find most fascinating about your story is, part of your recovery is that you practice drawing with your left and your right hands. And what I love about that, what I find fascinating about that, is it goes back to you being that little girl that loved to draw. And so the fact that you were doing a passion is what plays a big factor in not only bringing you back to life, so to speak, but it's also allowing you to evolve as a human and an artist simultaneously. And I feel like it's pretty much a testament to art bringing you back to life. And I feel like very few people in this world get to experience something like that.
Yeah. It almost felt like a rebirth.
Yes.
But like also going back to like being a child, you're starting from basics again. Like I couldn't function on my left side. So I was like, and then my brain was a little, messed up from the stroke. So I had to like retrain my brain and myself, but also go back to like what that felt like as a child. So bringing everything back to basics. So yeah, I mean, it helped a lot in so many ways. But I'm glad like my talent was still there and that didn't go away,
Yeah, but I just love the fact that, it to put it in a sentence, it's like the art brought you back to life. You were kind of in purgatory with the stroke and you were recovering and everything, and it was actually your passion that played a big factor into bringing you back to who you were and continue to help you evolve at the same time.
Yeah, and then even with work, right? So my doctor told me I couldn't go back to work until maybe another 6 months from now. And I said, absolutely not. I'm going back to work. And I went to work within a month and a half, maybe. I shouldn't have.
Are you a Taurus?
No, I'm an Aries.
Okay, because I'm a Taurus and I know stubbornness. So.
Oh, there's a little stubbornness in the Aries, yeah. So I went to work.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, you're a Taurus also? Oh, you're Aries. Oh, yes. Okay, all right.
Awesome. So you get it. But yeah, I went to work. I shouldn't have. But it was me, the thought of like, I need to get back to work. I need to get back to tattooing and drawing. And that was like my push, my motivation to do better.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy now that you bring that up. Like, I'm crazy for even going back to work.
Well, that's something that I would do, unfortunately, yeah. But sometimes I feel like, what it is? It's a stubbornness for me. Like, I'll tell you what, it also kind of falls in line to, just listening to the universe and your body sometimes. So I remember when I was 20, I had a ruptured appendix.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay.
The thing is that people have said that when you have a ruptured appendix, you're automatically in a lot of excruciating pain.
Right.
For me, it was just bothersome. Like, I don't know, maybe it was something that wasn't hurting me, but it was bothering me and it was concerning me. Like, I don't know, like not even a really good fart can get rid of it or something like that. So I was just like, doing Pepto and all this other shit, and it just wasn't going away until finally it started to really be a little bit more annoying and started to hurt. And then I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to go to the doctor and see what it is. So I go to St. Joe's in Paterson, and they have me waiting and doing all these tests for hours, and I'm just like, I just want to get to the bottom of what's going on with me. And then next thing you know, a doctor comes in, they're like, yeah, Mr. Madrigal, we saw that you're having a ruptured appendix and we need to get you into surgery immediately. I'm like, what? I wasn't expecting to go under the knife that same day.
Yeah.
But it was a good thing that it happened, because they said that if I had put it off to like a day or two, I easily would have collapsed and died.
Oh, wow.
Because what people don't realize is that when an appendix ruptures, there's poison swimming through your body. So basically I had poison swimming all in my bloodstream. I was very lucky that I didn't get sepsis, which is infection of the blood. Oh, yeah. And, basically when they took it out, I have like a scar on my abdomen this big.
Wow.
And because usually when they take it out, it's like a tiny incision. With me, I have a scar this big.
Really?
And yeah. And even when they took it out, I had something called a Jackson plug, where like for 3 weeks, I had this little squeezable ball where like it has a nozzle, and I had to basically suck out all of the, residue and everything.
Oh, man.
And I just had to keep on doing it for weeks until it just looked like clear water. And then afterwards, they just yank it out of you.
Oh.
It was rough.
That sounds horrible.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was one of the worst things that I could ever. I don't wish that. It's weird, people say that I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Now I understand the meaning behind it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things also that that's fascinating about you is that you're very open, honest, and transparent. And usually somebody that had gone through what you've been through would usually keep that to themselves and not share it with the rest of the world. But you were brave enough to do it, even on your YouTube channel where everybody can like and subscribe. And you had a video on there that you were talking the whole spiel about what happened during your stroke and everything. But the sense that I got from you is that you were bringing awareness to the masses. You weren't doing it for sympathy or clicks or anything like that. It was something that you felt very passionate, and you could tell in your eyes and in your voice how much this is an important thing that people need to be noticed, be wary of, just in case it could happen to anybody else.
Yeah, and I think that was important, because even when I was recovering, although you hear people having strokes, I really didn't know anyone around me who had it. So I had to outsource, like go onto Facebook groups and, put up like things on Instagram and ask for help because nobody knew what to do. Like, how do I recover from this quicker? And I felt a little bit alone. So I feel like the least I can do is put that message out there and also help women to be aware of what birth control is doing to their bodies so that they don't ever have to go through what I went through. And also for people who have been through this and we share our stories. I feel like I've helped so many people in that way, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I had purpose in a way.
Right. No, and you know, kudos to you for actually doing that. And as far as I'm concerned, like, how is your recovery now? Like, are you all good? Do you still have to go through the motions? What's the story there?
No, I think I'm pretty much good now. There's some lingering things, a little bit of weakness on my left hip. I had to do therapy. Like, last year was the last time I did therapy, so I'm good now. But I think working out and just, you know, keeping myself healthy as possible is what helps. But there is a thing, it's called like brain fatigue. So if I
kind of like brain fog.
Kind of, yeah. If there's a lot going on or like a lot of stress or I don't know, like just a chaotic day, sometimes I have to rest in order to help that like brain fog tiredness situation. Because then I'll notice I'll start to like stutter a little bit, or I can't think clearly as much. It's nothing too bad. Like, nobody really knows about it or could really tell, but I feel it. So it's like a way of my body speaking to me. But that's probably the only lingering things right now. And then the fear of it happening again. Sometimes I'm a little chicken. I'm like, keep my phone everywhere with me just in case. Right. I know, it's scary.
Yeah. Now, when you were in the recovery process, like, let me tell you from my experience when I had the ruptured appendix. So I was in the hospital for about 5 days, and also for a month. My recovery was about a month and a half, and I had staples, and I basically had to just not do the most minimalist movement as I could. Like, basically the doctor just told me, just watch all the TV until you heal up. You know, I could barely do anything. But mentally it took a toll on me because not only did I feel like I was helpless because I couldn't move or I wasn't very mobile, but it also affected me mentally. Like, I can't believe that I actually allowed myself to get to this point where I'm at. Was there any kind of thought process like that going through your head when your stroke happened?
Oh, yeah. Right away, actually, is like the first day I was in the hospital. The doctor tells me, okay, so just so you know, you're going to go through a depression and it's going to be bad. Do you want antidepressants now? And I was like, no, I don't. Let me figure it out first. Let me get to that point and see if it even happens, which I didn't believe, but it happened. And it was bad. It was a dark place. And I felt just like you did, like helpless. Like, how can I be a functioning regular person? And then now I have my mother dressing me and helping me get to the bathroom or, you know, getting me food. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. I was literally helpless and hopeless. That's what I felt. So, and it's scary because you think that like you can't even ever get better. Like, what I felt, I was like, I'm never going to be the same again. I won't be able to work, or, you know, you think about your life and you just get into like a really dark place. But it's a thing that happens. But the goal is to be strong and talk to yourself through it. You know, trick your brain into thinking you're okay when you're really not.
How did you do it personally? How did you get through it?
I started to watch videos about the brain. I started to read about the brain and listen to like motivational speakers and how people can heal themselves just by the way they think. So I was doing that a lot. Praying a lot, trying to get into like yoga, meditation, anything to keep me calm and stress-free. But it was so hard because I really, like, a part of me was like, I don't believe I'm ever going to get better. But you have to like just kind of talk to yourself through it. And I think having a good support system, you know, even though people can't really relate to what just happened to me, at least talking about it was important. You know, writing stuff down, anything, you know, like that.
Did you ever sometimes feel like a burden because everybody else had to help you out?
Yeah. And I wasn't used to that. So I'm obviously a very independent person who has my own business, you know, live alone and have nobody to help me with anything. So I had to like go to my friend. I literally had to live with my mother for the time being because I couldn't take care of myself. So it was uncomfortable for me. Like, this is not my normal. And now I got all these people taking care of me. Like, can I just go home? And my mother was like, no, you're not going nowhere. I was like trying to go home so bad because I felt like I'm just in everyone's way. Yeah, like I'm in everyone's way. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm just glad that I'm better and and that they were able to care for me during that time.
And you've been thriving ever since.
Yeah. I felt like, hey, you never know when it's your time, so you might as well just live life to the fullest now. So there was things that I was doing, and my family used to be so concerned. I feel like I was stressing them out. They're like, Tiffany, you got to take it easy. Just stay home, stop. I'm like, no, I got to live life now. This is the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm very happy for you, and I'm glad that you made a full recovery for the most part. And, everything that you've been doing, you've been thriving, so on and so forth. Round of applause real quick, Steve. Yeah. So, switching gears here a little bit. Now, out there in the stratosphere, a lot of people know Tiffany Tattooz, not just from your art and also from your business, but you've actually had a little bit of television time. I don't want to say you had like 15 minutes of fame or anything, but people know you from their TV screens a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily my favorite type of entertainment. I'm not a reality TV guy. I mean, I think the last thing that I watched reality TV base-wise was Flavor of Love. So
that was a good one, though.
Yeah. But, that's as far as back as I go. But I did have a guest on my on the show previously. Shout out to Maura Ortiz, who was on Big Women, Big Love. And the show only lasted 1 year, but she definitely would have continued on if they asked. But she didn't say it didn't go without its quarrels. They had some of its drama and everything. And sometimes what people don't realize is that on these shows, sometimes it's manufactured by the writers and the producers. And yes, reality TV does have writers. How much reality can it be? But anyways, I know I like I said, I don't watch it, but I did do a little bit of research on you, and it's really amazing to me because based on your personal videos and on your Instagram and your social media and meeting you in person, it sounded like, they got the aura of Tiffany wrong in these television shows, specifically one called Black Ink.
Yeah.
Like what the hell went on there? Like, I feel like they try to paint you as the villain or like a nuisance on that show.
It's crazy because that show, I turned it down 3 times. They were trying to get me on, and I just did not want to do it because I already knew what it was about.
Yeah, because she's Puerto Rican and she hot. That's why I want her on.
Yeah, but, they got me. They got me on. And there's a character you have to play. You got to kind of play that role. But, like, everybody was so surprised. Anybody who knows me knows that wasn't really me. But I have to say, there is a little feisty side hidden in me somewhere, and I feel like they took that out of me.
The Paterson did come out of you. The Paterson did come out of you. Now 7-3 in this bitch.
But I felt like I had to, like, because I felt like they were really bullying me, and I was the target. So I had to become a little extra, or else I would have looked crazy on TV.
Right.
So yeah, but there are things. There is there's a theme, there's a storyline that you have to follow. And so I had to follow that role or else I'll lose my job in a way.
Yeah, but isn't it also crazy how, something that didn't necessarily paint you in the best of lights actually did wonders for your career?
It did.
It did give you, at the very least, it gave you exposure.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, my following did grow. So, like, my father would tell me, like, whether it's good or bad exposure, it's still exposure. So
yeah, I mean,
go for it.
They say it all the time. Bad publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. So, but some people who know nothing about me can see through, I guess, the cameras. They could see something good about me. They could see the good part. And some people started to see that I was a little bit of a target on that show with specific characters on there that.
But I feel like that the point that I'm getting at is I feel like that was kind of like this by design. I kind of feel like the producers or the creators of that show purposely created that atmosphere to get a rise out of you and everybody else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they knew I was going to say something back. So they kept making me like this.
That's why they wanted you on the show so bad.
Yeah, they knew it. Everything. It was like, okay, Tiff, you're going to go in here and you're going to talk to this person. And I'm like, why are we even having that? We know where this is going to go. And I will always talk back. I couldn't stay quiet.
Yeah.
So it got me in trouble.
But you know what, though? At the same time, I commend you because you got to stand your ground. You can't be a pushover. Because if they saw that weakness in you, and I don't think there's any weakness in you, but if they were to see that, then who knows what it would have done. At least I think even though it didn't paint you in the best light, at least it goes to show that, you know, you're a tough cookie. You're going to fuck somebody up if you have to. You know, you're not going to take it over. You're not going to like let like some, you know, people just walk all over you and you know, take advantage of you. You're going to stand your ground.
Yeah, I tried my best. I was a little girl on that show. I was quiet for the most part, but they just kept, you know, nagging at me, and I just had to do what I needed to do. So to protect myself.
Toxicity at its finest.
It was bad. Yeah. It was bad.
But you know what? At least the silver lining there was that it was good for your brand. It didn't affect you in the long run, and fuck it. It was an experience, you know. You know, whether it was a good, bad, or experience, or good or bad, or whatever. Just it was an experience, and it's just something that's just in the footnote of Tiffany Perez.
Yeah, exactly.
So a little bit about In Gallery. Like I mentioned before we started recording, one of the things that I'm really proud with a lot of guests that come on the show and just the society in general is we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurship, especially from female entrepreneurship, and you're also Hispanic. And that's something that I love to see because I came pretty much from an era, I think we're around the same age range where that was, you know, not very common, and now you're seeing it more so than ever. And I love it when people are actually discovering it through their passion. And is it true? Is it a fact? I know it's marketed as, but is it true that it's the largest tattoo studio in New Jersey?
Yeah.
So that's just not for false advertising. That's actually legit.
Yeah, from what we've discovered, there was a lot of research being done, and there has been nothing like my shop. And I really don't think so, because I know of a lot of shops, and most tattoo parlors, they're smaller, and they have about like 4, maybe 6 artists, and my shop is like quadruple that. It's crazy. Nice.
Round of applause real quick, Steve. You know, give her flowers for that.
But I'm crazy. Dude, I'm crazy because I had...
Steve, can we get a drop of that? I'm crazy.
I don't know why... I love that. I don't know what it is about me. Like, I had this shop. It had 4 booths, my very first shop, right? And I got to a point where I felt like I couldn't scale no more. So here I am just like, why don't I just take the challenge on of opening like the largest shop in New Jersey? So when I was looking for shops, I was looking for something crazy, square footage. I'm like, I know nobody else has this out here. And I go from a team of 4 to a team of 20. And
is it all crazy how like you have this now? You have this big business, and in the beginning, you didn't even look at yourself as a businesswoman.
Oh, not at all.
This never crossed your mind. You just wanted to make your money and go home.
Yeah, even when I first started tattooing, I mean, I was like 5 years in, and everybody was saying like, Tiff, you got to open up your own. I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm too quiet and shy for this. I'm not a business person. I don't know nothing about it. And then here I am now, like.
But you know what? That's also inspiring to me, because I mentioned before that I'm not a business-minded person. You know, I don't know the first thing about applying for loans or anything like that when it comes to, you know, starting up your own business and this, that, and the fourth. And I know that your entire life has to center around if you're your own boss. You know, it's not like a regular 9 to 5. You know, you have to live, eat, breathe, and shit and sleep all of this. You know, and you know, but that's where the passion comes into it. You like. I get the sense from you that you love doing what you do so much that you go into the studio and it's just your second home. It doesn't feel like work to you. I mean, maybe sometimes when it comes to like the financial aspects, maybe making sure that your employees under you and everything get paid, and you know, making sure that your brand grows and everything. But other than that, it's just another day, just another Tuesday for you.
It's my lifestyle. I call it my first home because I'm there more than my regular home, because yeah, it really is like a lifestyle. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm consumed by it. Even when I go home, I mean, it might sound a little, I don't know. When I go home, it's like I still bring work home, and it's like it's hard to like disconnect from that. You know, this is my life, and I don't think it's for everyone though. No, you have to be a certain type of person to do this, and that's why I call myself crazy. Because like the regular person, if they were to live my life for one day, they'll be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna do this." It's crazy. It's a lot.
I believe it. I believe it. But you know what? At the same time, I look at it as inspirational because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a business-minded person. And I had that same mentality as you, where like, I just want to get my money and go home. I don't know anything about business or anything like that. But who knows? I'm finding out at this point in time in my life, I'm finding out that it's never too late. I mean, look, I mentioned to you that I had dreams of being a director when I was 8 or 9 years old. I just directed my first project at age 37. So there's no such thing as it's too late or anything. It's everything happens with time. Who knows what's going to happen from 10 years now? I have this podcast that I'm very grateful for and I love. Who knows where it's going to take me 10 years ago? I just know that I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I just know that I have the drive and the consistency and the passion for what I do. And that could be with anything. It could be with cooking. It could be with artistry. It could be with podcasting. It could be this, that, and the third. It doesn't matter. As long as you have those factors in there, the sky is the limit as far as I'm concerned. And I'm learning that more and more now ever in my advanced age.
Yeah. And people ask me like, what do you see yourself doing in 10 years? And I'm like, hey, I mean, I have some plans, but I don't know what's going to happen. This whole tattooing thing wasn't even in my plans. It just fell in my lap. So I took it and ran with it. And the same thing could happen 10 years from now. Something else completely might happen in my life, which changes the dynamic of everything. So sometimes you just got to go with the flow. Everything's all in divine timing too.
To anybody out there that is an aspiring entrepreneur or whatever they want to do with their life and they're really passionate about it, but they have to go through the trials and tribulations or they feel discouraged or scared, what kind of advice would you share to those people that are listening and watching right now?
Oh, that's good. Well, one thing I always say is that like fear is what's going to mess it all up for you. We all have fear, and the difference between someone who I guess you could say is kind of like successful or made it as opposed to someone else is that they took that risk, they took that chance. So I say, hey, just do it. Like I took a risk. I'm here opening up this large shop while I'm still recovering from a stroke. It could have went really bad. You know, I wasn't even working as much, but I had a dream and passion and that fire in me. And if you have that, hold on to that piece that you feel, because that's what's going to help you get to the next level. We have to like really think of fear as like non-existent in a way. Like don't let it consume you. If you overthink it too much, like I'm scared, what if this happened, what if, don't say those what ifs. Just do it. Like you just got to get in there and take that risk. So if there's one word of advice, I would say take the risk, and that drive should be coming from that fire you feel within, that passion, and then great things can happen.
I love it. Round of applause real quick, Steve. I know it's there. There we go. Anyway, so there we go. Yeah. Ooh, upper. Up.
I like that.
That's how we do it here at Bravery Studios. Thank you very much, Steve. So you did mention that, you have plans and you have goals and everything, and you seem that you've made a lot with the opportunities that you've had so far in this life. What do you see next for Tiffany Tattooz in the near future?
Oh, I don't know. I actually would like to kind of work more on like the management aspect of my business. I just decided to do this recently, like this week, where I'm taking a couple of more days off so that I can draw more, because I'm always drawing tattoos, but I want to actually draw art and be able to sell that, and then maybe do some art shows, maybe get into like real estate or something else. Anything for, passive income is like a thing I'm trying to figure out. I know everybody kind of goes into real estate, but I really do want to do something with that, and maybe open up other different businesses. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, I have confidence in you because everything that you've been able to do in this life so far, especially with everything that has been thrown your way with the trials and tribulations, and you haven't let it got to you, I feel very confident that you're going to set the world on fire continuously.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Exactly. Yeah. Drop all the bombs. Yeah. But what about like in your personal life? Like, you ever thought about like kids, perhaps marriage or anything like that?
No, kids. I actually don't want children.
You don't? Okay.
I never did. Yeah. Marriage for sure. And I just met someone and it's going really well. So we'll see where this goes, but I feel good about it.
All right. I love that. I love that.
By the way, Facebook dating, I promote it all the time. I actually did that, and I was embarrassed at first because like people recognize me a lot on those things. But this one, it just happened real quick, and I feel like it's meant to be. So marriage, yeah, for sure. No kids, maybe, you know, because I just feel like my personality, I love to travel a lot. I love the business life. So I see myself kind of like, you know, maybe getting into more or different businesses and traveling. That's the life that I want, that I see for myself. So.
Right. Well, maybe not kids, but I know that you're also an animal lover, so maybe pets you already have?
Yeah, but then I lost my pet recently, so I don't want to feel that again. I did, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a rabbit for...
A rabbit, excuse me.
I know. I had a rabbit for like 11 years, but he was like a dog. It was so weird. I had him as a little baby, and he started acting like a dog. So.
What was his name?
Thumper.
Thumper? Oh,
yeah.
That's cute.
But he passed away from old age, so then after losing him, I was like, I don't know if I want to do the animal thing either.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I was just wondering how passionate you were about animals in general, because I know a while back you did sign a petition for, inhumane horse hack industry.
How do you know? I'm so confused. How do you know?
Welcome to First Class, Second Place.
How do you? I almost forgot about that. How do you know this? This is amazing.
In the words of Narwhal, you're Tiffany Tattooz. We're supposed to know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I put that up. But yeah, I am very passionate about animals. I love animals. If you go on my Instagram, you see the time feed or whatever it is, the feed, it's all animals. So weird, but yeah, I love animals. I wanted to be a vet one time, but I have bad allergies, so I was like, I can't do this.
Well, that's another reason why probably the pets thing won't work anyway.
Yeah, I was always sneezing in my house, so.
Then I feel bad. You cannot be around my dog because he's not hypoallergenic at
really?
all. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I don't have any dog hair on me right now. He usually sheds a lot.
Yeah, so I love animals, but yeah, you know.
All right. Well, either way, I'm glad you came here on the show. I really appreciate your story. I really appreciate everything that I wasn't bullshitting you when I said that I think that your story is an inspirational one. And I've mentioned before all the time, and as I alluded to earlier on the show, we take pride in bringing first-class people on the show since the name of the show is First Class, Second Place. And I think we did our job very well here by bringing Tiffany Tattooz on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy that you came. And I actually, not to sound egotistical or anything, but I feel like, I really ascended to another level by having somebody of your caliber on the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, before we go, we're about to close out this episode in a little bit, but before we go, I just have one more question that I like to ask everybody that comes on the show. Just a little fun with it, don't even think about it. It's not the SATs, just have fun with it. And I mentioned to you before, I'm a dork when it comes to movies, so this is a movie-related question.
Okay.
So, you, Tiffany Tattooz from Paterson, New Jersey, if they were to make a movie on your life, and what a hell of a story it would be, which actress do you see portraying your character and why?
Oh, man. What actress to be me?
And they don't
have to look like me?
No, they don't have to look like you or sound like you. It's just somebody that you admire and would feel they could bring out the best of your ability of your character. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. For me, I look nothing like this person, but I think Keanu Reeves could play me in a movie.
I don't have the answer for that one.
Oh no, is this the first time in the history of First Class, Second Place?
I don't watch TV like that. I don't watch movies. I might have to say J-Lo.
Okay, all right.
I know, yeah, because she dances. I love to dance.
You're Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, ready with a little attitude, from an urban area. So I feel like
she's a businesswoman.
Yeah, there is a lot of like connection there as far like relate.
You had a stroke and she breaks a lot of I get it.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
All right, so J-Lo it is.
J-Lo.
Right. Yeah. J-Lo, you heard? Hit her up. Anyways, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you so much to Tiffany Tattooz for coming through here. We really appreciate it. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we close out?
Is this part of the show? I always
yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Shout outs to my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my sister Mariah, who also tattoos, and my whole team at Ink Gallery. I love you guys.
All right, and where can they find you on social media real quick?
Oh, social media is Tiffany Tattooz with a Z.
All right, on all social media.
On all social media.
There you go. All right. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much again for coming through. We really appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at JasonEnrique_ on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, all the social media platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe at JasonEnrique on YouTube, and all podcast streaming at all streaming services. This has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We out.